I'm Tejaswini Patwardhan, founder of Open Minds Productions. Let me ask you a question. What does it take to bring about a change? Thinking differently? Yes, definitely. But more than that, making things happen. We are coming up with a series called Bheer Se Alag, in which we shall meet people from different walks of life. People who have made a positive impact in the world around them. People who are part of the crowd, भीड़ का हिस्सा, पर फिर भी भीड़ से अलग. Today's world revolves around internet, and what easier way to have access to internet than a smartphone? As smartphone users increase in teenagers and preteen segments, so do our security concerns. Today we have with us Sonali Patankar, somebody who has conceptualized and founded Responsible Netizen, the only non-profit initiative of the state promoting cyber wellness and responsible online behavior. Her team has successfully sensitized over 10 lakh children and adults since inception. Hi Sonali, thanks a lot for being here.
Hi Tejaswini, thank you so much for having me here on this very interesting topic.
Sonali, the first question that comes to my mind is, should children be given access to internet?
Absolutely, they must be given access to the internet because we cannot run away from technology. Now, today in the lockdown period, I don't think we can evade technology. Our only important takeaway here is let the devices be age appropriate. Let they be handheld by parents. So you cannot let your child with a device alone while the child is under 12. The parent has to sit along, has to introduce the device to the child, and has to critically talk about safety measures to the child. Once you prepare your child with it, and you're also reassuring your child that there is help available if you come across any threat, I am there to help you, and then building this dialogue further, you can definitely hand over children devices because this is their space, this is their expertise, they belong to the world of technology, so they need to be given those platforms to explore.
Having talked about their digital world, they are part of this world today. Is smartphone impacting children's world in any way? Because before the advent of smartphones, gadgets, it was a completely different ballgame.
Absolutely. So yes, there are pros and cons of smartphones and their impacts in life. So we've critically been dealing with three epidemics ever since smartphone usages have been very high. One is sleep deprivation. So we've realized that children and adults as well are sleeping very, very little, which is not just impacting them physically but psychologically as well. Sleep disorders have been found in very young children also. We've realized that children are isolated. So, social disconnect is another area of concern where they're virtually alive, but they're absolutely lonely in the real world. That is another extreme that we realized. And the third critical epidemic that we're dealing with currently is sexual deviancy, because today children have a lot of access to internet, information on the internet at a very young age, and many a times the content is very age inappropriate. So exposure in terms of, I'm not talking about good or bad, I'm talking about safe and unsafe exposures that need to be understood. So the entire casual approach of being unaware of online behavior consequences is an area of concern which needs to be introduced really very early with children so that they're groomed. So you set a cyber hygiene culture within the house, within a school, and these practices are followed as a family.
The repercussions that you just mentioned are really very scary. So, what measures, simple measures maybe, can a parent take if her child is addicted to gadgets? What can be done?
Screen addiction does not only start when the child grows up. We have infants who are dependent, who had lost vision in the eyes because of the exposure to screens through parents, or children are very, very dependent on online games very early. or probably we have cases of children being dependent on pornographic content. All of these addictions do exist. They are all live examples of what children are going through today. Five critical takeaways. Now, we can discuss this topic for over 2 days, but in such a short time, I think five takeaways for parents is critical. While your child is young, under 12, introduce an age appropriate device. Now, a 12, 7, 8-year old does not require a high end smartphone and definitely does not require a personalized smartphone. Your devices need to be shared with the child. Two, while you are sharing such devices with children, keep one sacrosanct device. If you can afford, keep one sacrosanct device for the child with all effective parental control measures, so that the child does not use various devices within the house that are not parental control equipped, and therefore access to a lot of things could be possible. Three, while we're talking about parental control, we very strongly advocate for communication within the house being the most powerful parental control strategy. Children will hack open parental control. They will not even tell you that they've done it. They will definitely be very proud of the fact that they've done it. So then where do we draw a line as parents? So to parents, for you, one tip is, we have not been told parenting is a very easy and a rosy trip and a cakewalk. In today's times, parenting is extremely challenging. So we have to come up with measures to combat the situation we are in, individually or as a collective of parents, and everybody is sailing in the same boat. So if you feel that there are symptoms in which you need to seek help externally, feel free to do that. I'm sure there are so many young people who are struggling, who are also sharing some very, very interesting strategies of screen time monitoring in their houses. Seek their help, share your insights, and let's, as a collective of parents, come together to handle this entire topic of screen time with our kids.
Right. When we are talking about children being addicted to phones, do you think that parents are to be blamed in some way?
If you ever ask this question to children, they will jump out of their chair and says only parents are to be blamed for it and not we children. I think it starts with the device introduction within the house, which is very often used as a tool for entertainment. And मेरा दिमाग मत खा, उधर जाके बैठ शांति से, मेरे को शांति से काम करने दे. That's where it begins. So also, addiction does not happen overnight. There are red flags that are very often missed, which need to be picked up so that you can report and you can seek help, which is available externally. What are these four red flags? One, any extreme change in behavior since the device has been introduced to the child. The device is taking the child is taking the device to the washroom, hiding it away, hiding his or her own online behavior, sleeping with the device under the pillow, and staying awake very late in the night. Food, health, and academics affected terribly. These are symptoms that need to be addressed. So these may be some of the symptoms, there may be other symptoms, but you are the best judge of your child as a parent, and these symptoms can only be picked up by you. So you need to be alert, you need to be vigilant, and you also need to be able to respond to that particular situation. Even though we are all facing challenging times, it is our child and it is our responsibility to ensure that they're safe, they're protected, and we are there to guard them in any kind of situation that they fall in. So I think that is something that we are encouraging parents to do.
Absolutely right. Sonali, now that you must be handling students who are a part of online teaching, learning process, do you see any trends happening in current times?
There's an entire Pandora's box opening here when we talk about latest trends coming into cyberspace behavior of children, uh, ranging from children hacking the school domain and declaring there will never be online class from today, so you're free to do whatever, to bullying and morphing teachers' images on the virtual class platforms, to ranging from sharing and asking for objectionable content with strangers at even grade 5, 6, and 7, that young, not knowing consequences of their online behavior, not knowing legal implications of their online behavior, There is an entire gamut of and severity of cases that we've been dealing with. Very importantly, we've realized that this is happening because of lack of awareness of consequences. This is not there with children and not there with parents as well. So, for parents who are watching this, remember that if your minor child commits a cyber crime, you are the first one to go to jail and pay a very hefty fine. That is the legal consequence as a guardian that you face. So, educating yourself about the platform that you provide your child with, or the technology that you provide your child with, is the first step towards ensuring the child is safe. Children are far better in terms of their TQ. So IQ and EQ, now it's TQ, the technology quotient, is far higher than any of us, and we are not going to be able to match their levels of TQ. But at least communicate and reassure that any distress that they face can be reported, help is available, and that they will stand by to ensure that the child is safe. This also brings in another very important element of awareness and education, which needs to start in very, very early. While we talk of education that begins early, that will set in a tone for cyber hygiene practices. And that is something that we are really relying on to ensure children start generating responsible content and they start influencing other friends of theirs of being safe. So today we're talking about how children can be proud about being safe online and not fall a prey to being a bully because of peer pressure. So, empowering our child with the power to be able to be safe online, I think that's the best tool one could ever have. So, parents, go out there, protect your children, and teach them to be safe and look after themselves. I think that's the best gift we could offer them today.
Thank you. Another important question that a lot of parents have been asking is, if a child intentionally or unintentionally does go through some content which is not appropriate, what can parents do simply?
So a lot of times this happens with children across ages because devices. So for instance, if you go to any video browser and or on the internet, and you're looking at certain things, and there could be a pop-up or there could be something which is very interesting that you click on, which takes you to an inappropriate site. Uh, Intentionally, children will do it because they are curious to know about things. They have no other platform to access this information. Probably there are no platforms for them to voice out or ask anybody. So internet becomes the safest, more clandestine platform for them to kind of explore. If you ever come across your child having viewed any content which is age inappropriate, I think don't react. Respond, talk it out, understand what is being seen. We are not asking whether children are watching pornographic content. We are sure they are watching. Our concern is at what age. So, if a 6 year old, a 7 year old, under 12 year old has had some access to pornographic content or age inappropriate content, I think talking to the child is extremely important there and then. And if you think as a parent you're not equipped to talk about these things, please seek help externally. Speak to the school counselors, speak to principals. They conduct amazing workshops on teaching you how to deal with these questions. Pick up those strategies and talk to your children about it. Most importantly, you need to reassure your child about four things. One, when they come across any pornographic site, any site which is age inappropriate, you need to teach them that these sites don't show or don't display four important characteristics a relationship must have, that is love, trust, respect, and consent. And these are extremely important for any relationship that you invest in. And this is definitely not shown because it is created to influence everybody towards something which is not normal. So there are ways of dealing with it, and do not hesitate, but reach out to help and seek help.
Thanks a lot, Sonali. I think in today's world of internet, with all the boons that it gives, there are also dark alleys which nobody wants to visit, but we eventually land up there. Talking to you has given us insights into how to handle children and ourselves in these times. Thank you for being here.
Can I just give two takeaway messages
Sure,
before I
please.
close?
Please.
So, for parents, I think very importantly, our children need us to guide us in platforms that they use. They probably master the internet so that they're more experts in terms of handling technology. Learn technology from children so be able to protect them. I think that is one easy way to do it. They will also be very proud that they're able to teach their own parents, technology that they know probably better than us. Also, as children, I think if we can let children become positive influencers in cyberspace, I think this is going to create synergies. This is going to build a lot of positive and responsible online behavior through a generation of people who are internet explorers. So stay there, stay safe, but I think look after yourself more in cyberspace. Children are more accessible to predators online today than offline. So that is a platform that you definitely need to be aware of. Thank you so much for this amazing platform. And I hope I've been able to inspire some amount of kids and parents to be safe online.
I'm sure. Thank you.